Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated rules for the Farstalker Kinband Kill Team for the new edition. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the updated Kroot rules. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and then a Patreon if you want to give me support as well too. But yeah, I'm covering the free rules, which you can find on Warhammer Community and the Kill Team app. And I'll be going over all the changes over the Farstalker Kinband, a kill team that has been quite dear to my heart and that I've fully painted up and even taken to LVO. So let's get on with it. So for your roster, you have now 12 full operatives. So you have a leader and 11 operatives. Everyone's effectively lost GA2, so you're now a full 12 activation team. You've got infiltration and recon, which is, unchanged. So those are some solid archetypes. You've got your kill broker, who can have a Kroot rifle and ritual blade, or pulse weapon and ritual blade. So interestingly, like, the ritual blade's been built in, but it used to be able to take either a pulse rifle or a pulse carbine. Now it's just a pulse weapon, which is frustrating because I've built two of those, but let's see. Maybe they're not just one combined profile. Then you can either take the bow hunter, cold blood, cut skin hound, long sight pistolier, stalker tracker, heavy gunner with either the Dvorgite skinner or the long daxi triblast, and then, well, tribalist, and then you've got a warrior that can either have a Kroot rifle or scattergun. And then other than hound or warrior operatives, your kill team can only include each operative once, but you can include up to 2 hounds. So effectively unchanged on that front. So for faction rules, you have Farstalker. In the ready step of each strategy phase, you can change the order up to 3 friendly operatives that are not within control range of enemy operatives. Whenever it's your turn to counteract, you can change the order of 1 friendly operative that's not within control range of enemy operatives instead. This still counts as you counteracting, so activation alternates back to your opponent, but doesn't count as that friendly operative's counteraction for the turning point. This is okay. This is actually better if you're going last during the turning point, where you switch to engage, shoot, and then switch back to conceal with Farstalker. I don't think you're going to get much use from the second point, but we'll see. For strategy ploys, you have Cutthroat. So whenever a friendly operative is fighting, add 1 to the attack stat of its melee weapons to a maximum of 5. This is unchanged. Very, very good. Then you have Rogue. So whenever an enemy operative is shooting a friendly operative, ignore the stat rate weapon rule, and if you can retain any cover saves, you can retain 1 as an additional cover save, or you can retain 1 as a crit instead. This isn't cumulative with the improved cover saves advantage. So this used to be your faction ability. I think it is better as a strategy ploy because you weren't really using it all the time. And now if you want to use it, you can spend a CP2. I think it's fine. I know some Farstalker players will be upset, but I prefer it like this. Then you've got Prey. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting during an activation which hasn't performed a charge, fallback, or reposition action, its ranged weapons have the balanced and severe weapon rules. Note that the operative isn't restricted from performing those actions after shooting, so this is buffed, because before you just counted as heavy and you couldn't do anything apart from a dash. So now not only do you get balanced, but you get severe. So if you don't roll any crits, you can turn a crit into a hit, and then you can move or you can reposition or charge after. So Prey's really, really good. Amazing. This is what it should have done last edition. Then you've got Bound. During each friendly operative's activation, you can ignore the first vertical distance of 2 inches they move during one climb. This has been nerfed. It used to trigger every time you climbed, dropped, and traversed. Obviously, traversed has been removed, but now you don't drop for free as well. Like, if you were dropping from a 4-inch building, it would only cost, it used to be free for as a drop. Now it isn't. It's still very, very good, but just board dependent, but you're usually popping it on most boards. Then you've got Firefight Ploys. So for Savage Ambush, use this Firefight Ploy during the fight action when a friendly operative that has a light or heavy terrain trait within its control range is selected to fight against. In the resolve attack dice step of that sequence, you resolve the first dice instead of the attacker. So effectively, if you're ready within control range of heavy or light and someone charges you and they fight you, you can start the first fight or first block. So that's actually pretty good. A very nice ploy there. Then you've got Slip Away. Use this Firefight Ploy during a friendly operative's activation. During the activation, it can perform the fallback action for 1 less AP, so that's fine, unchanged. Then you've got Poach, which is unchanged, but hold on. So use this Firefight Ploy during a friendly operative's activation. Until the end of that activation, that operative doesn't have to control a marker to perform the pickup, marker, or mission actions that usually require this, taking precedence over other actions conditions. It only needs to contest the marker. So this is very, very good, but I also consider it quite toxic now, namely for the missions Sabotage and Loot, because especially in Sabotage, you can run over to your opponent's home objective, sabotage it, and then as long as you control the middle, you can score 2 points, whereas your opponent scores 0 every turn for a command point, and especially on Loot, it's kind of too strong, so I think it might need some tweaking there. But otherwise, that's a solid tactic if you're playing into those missions, especially endgame missions, Turning Point 4, so missions that score in Turning Point 4, you just use Poach to just go like, oh, did you have like 20 operatives on one objective? Now it's mine. You know, it's very, very good, and it's going to something your opponent has to keep in the back of their mind. Then you've got Vengeance for the Kinband. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly operative is incapacitated by an enemy operative until the end of the battle. Whenever another friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against that enemy operative, that other friendly operative's weapons have the relentless weapon rule. You cannot use this ploy again during the battle until the enemy operative is incapacitated. This is unchanged and very, very good. You know, you just pick someone who, unfortunately, you have to wait for someone to die. But if you use as bait, you know, especially if it's an opponent's important operative, you can go, cool, you've charged in or shot and killed this guy. Now my entire kill team has relentless against you. Very, very good. But remember, you have to put in a place where you can actually punish someone. So there's no point doing on a shooting operative who's just going to keep hiding behind cover outside of visibility. So keep that in mind. For operatives, you have the Kill Broker, who has 2 APL, a 6-inch move, a 5-up save, and 9 wounds. This is the standard profile for your kill team. He has +1 wound, everyone else has 8. He's also on a 32mm base, everyone else is on a 28mm base. He has a Kroot rifle, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3-4. Then a pulse weapon, which is 4 attacks in on 4s, 4-5. Then a ritual blade, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 4-5. This used to be an equipment choice, now it's just built in. Very, very nice. I am disheartened that the pulse weapons are now just combined, because what is the point? I have a pulse rifle leader and a pulse carbine leader. There was no point. That was a waste of time. Anyway, then you've got Call the Kill. Strategic Gambit. Select one enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against your mark, that friendly operative's weapons have the accurate one weapon rule. Whenever your mark is incapacitated, you can select a new enemy operative to be your mark for the turning point and continue to do so. So you effectively go like, we're going to kill that person right there, everybody. And then all the Kroot gain accurate 1. And then when you kill that operative, your leader goes, we're going to kill that person now. So very, very good. It used to give different rules, at the end of 2nd edition, but accurate 1 is still very nice. Then you've got Victory Shriek. Whenever your mark is incapacitated, you can select one friendly operative visible within 6 inches of this operative. Until the end of the battle, that operative's weapons have the accurate one weapon rule. Each friendly operative can only be affected by this rule once per battle. So the interesting thing is, the more you kill, the more you buff. But if they have accurate 1, then it stacks with the accurate 1 you get from Call the Kill. So then they'll have accurate 2. So it can really explode this like chain killing. So your leader is still a very support buff piece, and it can now reliably kill people that get too close. You just need to keep at least 1 or 2 key operatives near it within 6 inches, so you can always benefit from those buffs. Then you've got the Bow Hunter, who has an accelerator bow with either fused arrow, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4-5 piercing 1. Then the Glide Arrow, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4 silent. And then the Voltaic Bow Arrow, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-5 blast 1. And then the Blade, which is 3 attacks hitting on 3s, 3-4. It's got Energize for 1 action point until the end of the turning point, until this operative is shot with its accelerator bow, whichever comes first. All profile of its bows have the lethal 5-up special rule, and you can't perform this while in control range. This is very, very nice, because all of a sudden, especially when you have a lethal 5-up fused arrow, that's very, very deadly. And especially with the blast profile, that's nice as well. But the cool thing is you've got silent, so if you're in a good position already, you can energize and just start shooting people for silent. So a nice operative there, still very solid. Then you've got your Cold Blood, who has 9 wounds. It has a Kroot rifle, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3-4, and then the Blade, and it's hardy. Whenever an attack dice would inflict critical damage on this operative, you can choose that dice to inflict normal instead, which is unchanged. Very, very nice, especially as it's 9 wounds. And then you've got Cold-Blooded. Whenever this operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a wounded enemy operative, this operative's weapons have the lethal 5-up special rule. If that enemy operative is also injured, this operative's weapons also have the rending weapon rule. So he has lost his free ammunition, but now he's better at targeting operatives that have lost any wounds. So I think the Cold Blood is slightly better, you know, even without the ammunition. Then you've got the cat skin. Meow. Then you've got the cut skin, who has a cut skin blade, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3/4 ceaseless lethal, 5 up. Vicious duelist. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, for each attack dice your opponent discards as a fail, inflict 1 damage on the enemy operative in that sequence. It's really good against opponents who are injured or like -1 to hit and have like lots of attacks, 4 or 5 attacks, because all of a sudden you could do like 3 or 4 damage onto someone before the sequence starts. Then you've got Savage Assault. The first time this operative performs a fight action during each of his activations, if neither it nor the enemy operative in that sequence is incapacitated, it can immediately perform a free fight action afterwards, but it must be at the same enemy operative it was fighting against before, and it takes precedence over action restrictions. So your cut skin's okay. It's just fine, not great. Considering it's your main melee operative, it's very strange, but it's okay. Then you've got your heavy gunner. It can either take the Dvorkite Skinner, which is 5 attacks, hitting on 2s, 3/3, range 6, heavy reposition only, piercing 2, torrent 2. So it used to be 6 attack dice, 2 damage. So 5 attacks on 3s is nice. Then you've got the Londaxi Tribalist, which is 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4/5, heavy reposition only, piercing 1, rending. So this has actually been buffed because it used to be 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, I believe. 3/4. It's like, it's way better now that it's 4/5. I actually think you take the Tribalist more because it has piercing 1, like just innately. You know, the Skinner is good, probably better into Horde teams, but I like the infinite range of the Tribalist. I think you now go Tribalist all the time, but a nice operative again. Then you have the Kroot Hound, who has 2 APL, 8-inch move, 5 up save, and 7 wounds. So less wounds than everyone else. Has Ripping Fangs, which are 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3/4 rending. So it's got Beast. This operative cannot perform actions other than charge, dash, fall back, fight, gather, guard, reposition, pick up, marker, and place marker, and it cannot use any weapons that aren't on its data card. It's got the Bad Tempered rule. So whenever an enemy operative performs a fight action, if this operative is a valid operative to fight against, you can force them to fight this selected operative instead. Whenever an enemy operative ends this charge action within control range of another friendly Farstalker operative within 3 inches of this operative, if this operative isn't within control range of that enemy of any enemy operatives, you can immediately perform a free charge, but must end within control range of that enemy operative. This is unchanged. Basically, if someone's in combat with the Hound and another operative, they have to fight the Hound. And then if your Hound is on an engage order and within 3 inches of someone who has been charged, you then charge then. You've kind of got some nets of like reactions with the Hound. Then you've got Gather for 1 action point. Perform a free dash or reposition action with this operative. During that move, you can perform a free pickup marker or place marker action with this operative, and you can determine control during that action to do so, and any remaining move distance had from the dash and or reposition can be used after it does so. So effectively, you could move 4 inches, pick up a marker, and then move 4 inches back. Still very, very good, especially now we have more missions that relate to pickup markers as well as like tac ops. So the Hound is good. It used to be GA2, it's GA1 since the end of 2nd edition. Then you've got the Long Sight, who has a Kroot hunting rifle and blade. So the hunting rifle concealed is 4 attacks in on 2s, 3/3 heavy, devastating, free, silent, concealed position. So it means it's once per game silent. The mobile profile is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3/4, and then the stationary profile is 4 attacks in on 2s, 3/3 heavy, free, dev, free. It's good. Unchanged there. Then you've got Long Sight, 1 action point until the end of this operative's next activation. The concealed and stationary profile for the hunting rifle have the lethal 5-up weapon roll, and whether it's shooting with this rifle, its enemy operatives cannot be obscured. So unchanged there. Before it used to give +1 to hit, but it's now got that baked in. So the Long Sight is very, very good. You still take it. It's a shame it's only silent once per game, but that's the change most snipers have. Then you've got your Pistolier, who has dual Kroot pistols. So the focused mode is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3/4 range 8, ceaseless lethal 5-up. Then the salvo mode, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3/4 range 8 salvo. So it's got quick draw, so once per turning point, when an enemy operative is performing the shoot action and this operative is selected as a valid target for it, or it will be a secondary target from the blast weapon rule. If this operative is ready, you can immediately interrupt the action to use this rule. If you do so, this operative can immediately perform a free shoot action with its dual Kroot pistols and the focused mode against that enemy operative, and you can change its order to engage to do so, but that enemy operative must be a valid target. So this has been heavily buffed, because before you had to be on engage and ready. Now you can switch to engage and pistol someone. They do have to be within your 8-inch range, but this is great on stuff like Galodonk, and it's more usable now. You can switch to conceal to engage and use this, so a nice buff there. Then you've got Salvo, select up to 2 valid targets, shoot with this weapon against both of them in any order of your choice, and then roll the sequence separately. I think the only thing that needs to be clarified here is if you can pick the same target twice. I think you can, but then you have the issue of if you kill it the first time, then you can't fire again. Salvo has been slightly nerfed because you do lose the lethal 5-up and ceaseless mode, but just being able to fire twice is very nice. And especially if one of those is your call the kill benefit, then you've got built-in Accurate 1, or if you benefit from call the kill, the buff, then you have innate Accurate 1, but the Pistolier is very, very good. Then you have the Kroot Stalker, who has a Scattergun, which is 4 attacks hitting on freeze, 3/3 range 6, and then the Stalker's Blade, which is 4 attacks hitting on freeze, 3/4 balanced rending. It's got Stalker, so this operative can perform the charge action while has a conceal order, which is unchanged. Then it's got Stealth Attack for 2 action points. Perform a free charge action with this operative, but don't exceed its move stat, i.e. don't add 2 inches. Then immediately perform a free fight action with this operative. The first time you strike during that action, you can immediately resolve another one of your successes as a strike before your opponent. And you can't do this while you have an engage order, or while within control range of an enemy operatives, or if it isn't within 1 inch of light or heavy terrain. My problem with stealth attack is way more situational than it used to be, especially as now before you just had to be concealed. Now you have to start within heavy or light terrain, like within 1 inch of your control range. This is really rough. I think for that cost, you should be able to perform a normal full 8-inch charge. It's very situational. At least it's now 4 attacks basic. Otherwise, I mean, I think you still take the Stalker. Oddly, it's still better than your cut skin. It's just weird. Then you've got your Kroot Tracker, who has a Kroot Rifle and Blade. You've got Marked for the Hunt. Remove your Pertral marker from the kill zone, then place your Pertral marker visible to this operative on a vantage point terrain and feature that's visible to this operative. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting an enemy operative that has this marker within its control range, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the Seek Light weapon rule. And at the start of this operative's next activation, or if it's removed from the kill zone, whichever comes first, remove your Pertral marker from the kill zone, and you can't do this while in control range. So this has been buffed. You basically pick someone and you put the bird next to them, and whoever shoots them has Seek Light. This is very good for dealing with people on vantage points, but it's also quite funny. It's way better than it was before. Just send the bird in. It's great. Then you've got From the Eye Above as an action point. Support, select 1 friendly operative visible within 6 to get +1 and +1 APL until the end of the next activation. Always taking the tracker because it's your comms, and now the bird is actually very useful. Really good. Then you've got your Kroot Warrior, who can either have a Rifle and Blade or Scattergun and Blade, and the Rifle is 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3/4, and the Scattergun is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/3, range 6. So, ready for anything. Once per turning point during a friendly warrior operative's activation, you can use the Meat, Piercing Shot, or Toxin Shot rule. See the faction equipment for the operative. Doing so doesn't count for its once per turning point limit. So you get free ammo or free meat. You're usually taking 2 warriors or 2 hounds, or like a mixture, you know. I think it's fine. It's a shame the Cold Blood lost this, but it's a nice buff for your warriors, and they are group activation 1. For your equipment, you have Piercing Shot. So once per turning point, when a friendly operative is performing a shoot action and you select a rifle, scattergun, or pistols focused mode, you can use this rule. If you do so until the end of the action, you have the Piercing 1 weapon rule. So very, very nice, especially on your Pistolier. Then you've got Toxin Shot once per turning point when you shoot with a friendly operative using the rifle, scattergun, or pistols focused. You can use this rule until the end of that action. You have the lethal 5-up and stun rules, which is nice. Before you used to reduce your damage, now it's just a lethal 5-up and stun. So very useful, especially if you're taking 2 stuns as well. Then you've got Meat once per turning point when a friendly operative, excluding the Hound, is activated. If it's not within control range of enemy operatives, you can use this rule. If you do so, the operative regains D3 + 1 lost wounds, which is okay. And then you've got Trophy once per battle when a friendly operative, excluding the Hound, is activated. If it's not within control range of any operatives, you can use this rule. If you do so, add 1 to its APL stat until the end of the activation. So you used to be able to take up usually to 2 or 3 trophies. Once per battle is rough. If it was once per turning point, I think it might be too strong. But you always take a trophy. Trophy is very, very important. I would always take Piercing and Toxin Shot, and then probably utility grenades or crack grenades. I would never take Meat, unfortunately. Meat is just not good, you know? It's the Kroot are just all about their vegan lifestyle. So for Operative Selection, getting this out of the way quickly, you will need 2 boxes of Farstalkers if you want to build the optimum kill team. You can make them from one box, but then they'll be quite limiting because you can only build one heavy gunner. You know, you can only build one leader out because this kill team is very difficult to magnetize, and you just want more warriors to swap in case. So that's why I recommend getting 2 boxes. I effectively did. I got a second box of Kroot, but I also used like one of the Blackstone Fortress Kroot to be my leader with rifle. But generally now I would recommend the leader with the pulse weapon and rifle, and then I would always take the bow hunter, the cold blood, the cut skin, the long sight, the pistolier, the stalker, the tracker, the heavy gunner. So that's 9 operatives including your leader. So you still have 3 more to take. And in that regard, I usually go 2 Kroot hounds and a warrior. But there are instances where you may want to go 3 Kroot warriors, or maybe 2 Kroot warriors and a hound, or, you know, 1 Kroot warrior and 2 hounds. So your main flex pieces is how many warriors you want to run. I, for example, have 3 warriors built with rifles, 3 warriors built with scatterguns, and then I have my 2 hounds to play around with, because those are where your main flex pieces. You may have instances where you also dropped your cut skin for another warrior, just because now your warriors can be more situationally useful, especially to stuff like elites. You would probably take, you know, a warrior with rifle or scattergun, especially now the ammunition works on your scattergun. That's very, very cool there. And, you know, that's the only downside. So you could probably get away with eBaying it. I mean, you could go with the rifle into 7 wound teams, but I think if they're 8 wounds or higher, I would always go with the pulse weapon. And that's how this team pretty much rolls. So it's not really a 2-box team. It's a 1.5 box team, because you effectively need 1 box and then half of another box, which is effectively 2 boxes. But they're a fun team, and I think that the main flexibility is remembering you need to build, if you want a fully optimal list, you need to build at least 3 different types of 3 of each type of warrior, but you may want a bit more, especially if you want to drop the cut skin and stuff. But hopefully that helps. For the kill team overview for the Farstalker Kinband, they're a lot better. They are finally, I think, in a situation where they should have been through the entirety of the 2nd edition kill team. They're still a bit weak, right? They still struggle into elites. But in general, they're very, very good. I think they're really going to mess up 7 and 8 wound teams now in general. They've got really, like, they're not amazing in melee, but they're just solid in melee, and they're a lot better at shooting. Like, your gunners are better, your pistoliers better. You can use your ammunition on more types. Your warrior's actually very useful, especially if you go with scatterguns, because you can know, like, if you take 3 warriors with scatterguns, every time they shoot, their scatterguns are piercing 1, hitting on 3s, and potentially would call the kill accurate 1. So you can start shredding stuff very quickly. They're very good at playing the mission, and, you know, being able to take infiltration or recon is very, very good, because especially, like, this kill team is probably the best at playing, like, recover items, because if you take 2 hounds, you know, 2 hound, like, you can have 1 hound quickly take the furthest marker and run back with it, and then you can easily get the one within 2 inches of your kill zone midline. So they can play recon really, really well. They also do infiltration really, really well. Remember, they're a 12 activation kill team. Everyone basically has 8 wounds unless they're hounds. They're really, really good now, and I think they have a lot of play. They are very good on loot on sabotage, because especially on sabotage, you can make your opponent only score 0. You could potentially score 6 points on the primary where your opponent scores 0, and then you pick the primary, the crit up as your primary. Even on loot, you can effectively just always steal loot and always steal points, especially as you're usually activating last. So I would always keep a CP in the bank for poach, and remember, you've always got trophy to run around to just go like, suddenly I'm free APL, so now I'm going to move and dash and steal your points. It's very, very good. They're a nice flexible team, and I think they finally fully represent being Kroot pirates, which is nice, because that's what effectively Games Workshop has been telling us for months at this point, how they should play. I do think they still struggle a little bit more into elites, but that's the same for everyone, and you probably are going to be in a situation where you get run down a lot. But with how good the tribalist now is, I don't think that's too much of a problem, and you can oddly outscore elites on the crit up, and then select that as your primer and just run away. So they're a very, really good, weird, controlled, piratey team. They literally just go like, you know what, I just want the crit up today, and I'm going to steal some items. I may kill you. I'll kill 1 or 2. I only need the skull of that guy there. Goodbye. So they're very fun. I think they're really, really good. That, like, reading their rules again in full has given me hope. I might bust out, because I have a full Farstalker Kinband kill team, So I actually might bust them out. They are very tempted to play, and I'm definitely going to show them off on the channel. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful? What do you think of Farstalker Kinband in the new edition? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, as well as Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts with the crew, Zombie Businessman, Tom, Supercow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meets World, Darcy, Dad of Golden's Chris, and then for my veterans of the crew, Samja, Ryan, who has a Rule Zero tournament on the 2nd of November, and then Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, this is my second faction review of the day. I'm slowly working my way through. There'll be 2 every day until they're all done, at least. And yeah, I'm really optimistic by Farstalker Kinband. They're a team I've been mentally practicing a lot against, so I remember all their tricks, because I have to remember how to play around them on sabotage and loot, because they are going to be very, very good. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of good players focusing on the crit ops, selecting that as their primary and winning most of their games as Farstalker Kinband. The fact they can do that is a very interesting avenue, which I think a lot of players are going to sleep on until they run into it at an event. But remember, no matter what happens when you're facing the Kroot pirates, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.